Leanne had left the ship after the Gorn incident on Vallejo Beta 5 to locate Oriana's parents. To reference back, this was the version of Aliens 3 that they did in season 1.
That was a really good episode.
Oh, it was a great episode, but the whole time you're watching, okay, so she's Newt, and you're just like, okay, that one's Bill Paxton.
The whole thing out for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was, if I remember correctly, wasn't her reason for separating from the Enterprise crew after that she needed a break from Starfleet after dealing with that situation?
I was trying to remember today when I rewatched it. I thought it had more to do with finding that girl's home, but now that you say it like that, I do think there was some element of her kind of needing to step away. But,
I didn't have a lot of time to rewatch that episode in addition to this week's, but I could have sworn I had remembered that way. I could be wrong. And again, I'm not quite sure about the time difference either between that episode and now. But it seems like if she needed a break from Starfleet, her break ended up maybe being a 3-week vacation.
So there were supposed to be several months between seasons. So she left an episode or 2 before the end of the season, and then there were several months in between them, and now, so it's been months at least.
Okay, so it has been a little bit of time.
Yeah, because I did go and look real quick just to get an idea of about how long between the season was, just to get a sense of the timing. And it said that it was supposed to be months in between seasons, so, that's how they were holding that together. During the Klingon War, both the Federation and the Empire mined the planet's dilithium, but after peace, the Broken Circle, a syndicate of former soldiers from both sides, aimed to restart the war. An explosion at the dilithium mine left half the town sick from ion exposure, including Oriana's parents, and Bingo recognizes the ion radiation from photon torpedoes, appalled by those profiting from the theater of horror. Oriana and her parents are in a medical tent, so Spock sends Mbinga and Chapel to them, while he and Uhura accompany Leanne to negotiate with potential buyers of Federation tech. Mbinga and Chapel take in the grim conditions in the medical tent, where they are greeted by Oriana. As they treat her parents, a Klingon and 2 humans enter the tent and spot them. See, we can all get along if we just congeal around the idea of war for profit.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
Ferengi had it right the whole time.
Exactly, yeah. The Klingon notes their technology and asks if they were medical, and Bingo replies that they were from an off-world, or that they were from off-world seeking to trade at the market. The Klingon tells them to accompany her and her associates as they were in need of their services. As if to emphasize that they had no choice, the humans all raise their weapons. 3 Klingons approach at the rendezvous with La'an, speaking a dialect of Klingonese that Uhura identifies as Kach Ugh. I'm pronouncing Klingon is not easy sometimes. La'an asks Greynax, the largest of the 3, if he was followed. He replies that he was, but he slit the throats of the people following him, so it wouldn't matter. Leanne thinks it's probably unwise to leave a body trail, but he points out that, hey, we're in charge right now. There's going to be mountains of dead bodies on this planet, okay? He asks if she had what was promised, and she opens a case with several Starfleet phasers in it. And she makes some reference to Klingons hating Federation technology, and asking why he wanted them. And he just points out that it's none of her concern, and that he was promised 2 dozen and only sees about half that. Leanne tells him this is what she had, and he offers her a third of the agreed upon price, but Leanne demands double. He is incensed that she would demand double the price for half the weapons, and asks why he wouldn't just take it from the tiny woman like her. Apparently, he never saw season 1 of the show when she kicked a bunch of butts. In response, Leanne pulls a device from her belt and warns him to back off, or she would release the antimatter detonator switch and kill him on the spot. Greynax wonders if she had some Klingon blood in her, and agrees to her price, but asks for more weapons. Now, I'm saying that move right there was probably learned from Return of the Jedi, so I have to imagine Star Wars is canonically in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, I can't see a single problem with that. Yeah. Maybe they just can't get there just yet.
Yeah.
Although I'm willing to bet 20 to 1 or 6 to 5 that antimatter detonation switch was filled with Corbomite.
Probably. I mean, that's a nice reference. That was good. Yeah. Meeting with Spock and Uhura, La'an confesses that the detonation switch was just some little sci-fi bluff she learned from Return of the Jedi. See, I had it written in there, but I forgot that I wrote it in. Uhura managed to decipher some Klingon chatter revealing a mysterious plan set for the next day. The idea of calling Starfleet pops up, but Spock insists on concrete proof before enduring another chat with Admiral April. He suggests returning to the ship to check what M'Benga and Chapel have uncovered, hailing Transporter Chief J. I assume since we lost Chief Kyle, this is the new replacement, but
well, hopefully nothing happens to Jay. We might have to deal with Transporter Chief Silent Bob afterward.
Oh, yeah, those guys. It'd be kind of funny to stick them in some cameo role in Star Trek, though.
Lower Deck Season 4 is still going. You never know.
It could happen. They confirm a lock on 3 of them, but lost contact with M'Benga and Chapel about an hour ago. Act 3. Does this super soldier serum remind you of anything? Meanwhile, M'Benga and Chapel find themselves in a colossal cave, leaving Chapel in awe of its size. What stops them in their tracks is a Federation starship right before their very eyes. Chapel wonders how they squeezed it in there, but M'Benga speculates that they might have assembled it inside this cave. Their Klingon captor shoves them roughly forward. M'Benga and Chapel end up in the Klingon ship. In sickbay, M'Benga treats a Klingon with some gnarly ion burns, which would typically be a tough fix, but Klingon's genetic quirks make it easier. The Klingon, patient Horkeg, recognizes M'Benga and threatens to cut his tongue out if he doesn't spill the beans on where he's treated Klingons before. M'Benga mentions being stationed on the moon of Jagal years ago, and Horkeg thinks that it's a surefire lie since he'd be dead if it were true. M'Benga reminisces about the Battle of Chakana, where there was so much blood in the air that the rain turned red. Horkeg goes quiet as M'Benga wraps up his treatment, and we're going to see that later in the season as well.
Oh, yes. That's another thing I noticed about this episode on my second rewatch is just how much it teases episodes that we're getting in this season.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I really like about it is that the show promises and delivers.
Yeah, it does a good job of doing two things. It does a really good job of doing standalone episodes that also build towards something. Like, you can watch any episode of the show in any order, but if you watch it in order, you get little extras.
They got a little something for everybody.
Yep. After Horkeg heads back to duty, Chapel checks in on M'Benga, worried about the memories of the Klingon War resurfacing. He assures her that he's got it under control. Chapel discovers the severity of the burns implies that the torpedoes were on the ship, potentially making it a false flag for attacking the Klingons and restarting the war. They need to alert the Enterprise. M'Benga pulls out a vial of Protocol 12, aka Super Soldier Serum, from his medical kit. Chapel, concerned, asks if he really wants to go through that again, and M'Benga admits that he doesn't, but it seems like the only option.
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say Marvel is also canon to the Star Wars universe, which in turn makes it now canon as well to the Star Trek universe.
Yeah. Hey, I'm getting some heavy backgrounds. Oh, now it's gone.
Yeah, that's a helicopter landing behind my house.
Oh, yeah. See, I used to own a house in that neighborhood. I remember that sound quite well. With their enhanced reaction time from the stimulant, M'Benga and Chapel plow through the ship's decks like Captain America on a caffeine high or Noonien-Singh after a double espresso. They corner a Klingon in the turbo lift, and M'Benga tries to squeeze info out of him about the Syndicate's plans, numbers, and defenses. The Klingon, cocky at first, holds out despite M'Benga's aggressive tactics, knowing the Federation rules frown upon torture. But when M'Benga starts throttling him, Chapel intervenes to stop the Doc's Hulk-out moment. Finally, the Klingon spills the beans, 30 of them on board, armed to the teeth with Federation phasers, pulse rifles, and Klingon disruptors. M'Benga gets the location of the transponder, threateningly staring him down. The Klingon caves and reveals it's on Deck 13. M'Benga punches him out cold before leaving in the lift with Chapel, and then they hear the ship's engines revving up. M'Benga finds the transponder and reprograms it to send a message, but it takes time. And as the extremists close in, Chapel holds them off so M'Benga can finish the task, Then they head to the lower deck through an access panel, seeking an escape route. But the stimulant's starting to wear off, and 2 Klingons overpower Chapel. And Binga, running on pure willpower, manages to break free, and Chapel follows suit. They retreat to the airlock, but as they make their exit, the ship starts to lift off.